Now, considering we don't even have any recruitment analysts, it's amazing what can happen when you have a conversation with the board about adding more of them. So this is a rather exciting development. We attended a board meeting where they wanted to discuss having more recruitment analysts at Haverfordwest. Instead, we pitched the idea to them that maybe they should follow our vision for the club rather than theirs, and they were only too happy to agree, which is a bit of a result because yours truly just threw in on the off chance, never mind recruitment analysts, never mind the extra £150 a week that would cost. Have you ever thought about turning the club fully professional? Now, the downside is we've got to wait a year for that to happen, and we might not even be at the club by that time. But as my old pal Wolf Tracks keeps saying down in the comments, our job is to make sure we leave each of the clubs we manage in the Quest in a better position than when we arrived. I think we did that with Moyola Park, who survived relegation, by the way, last season, so we'll be in Northern Ireland second tier for a second successive season. And now that we're turning the club professional, I think we've done that with Haverfordwest as well. However, will any of the players that we've signed this transfer window be good enough for the club when they do go full-time? Well, if they are good enough, they will be training in better training facilities because we decided to use some of the £1.4 million that we had in the bank account to beg the board to improve the training ground, and they have done so. They've backed me again to the tune of £750,000 this time, meaning there's not quite as much in the club coffers. We've got just under £750,000 in our bank account, but we've already progressed one round through European competition. We were up against Cosmos from San Marino, and I took a bit of an arrogant gamble on not bringing you back for those games, thinking that if it was a San Marinese side, we would be able to breeze past them, and breeze past them we did, 8-0 on aggregate, although a lot of the goals in this tie were from set pieces, so we weren't really carving teams open. We've also had 3 good friendly wins. We've only conceded 1 goal this season, and we're going to be up against a side from Kazakhstan in this evening's Europa Conference League second qualifying round. And if we were to progress, and it is a big if, because this side are fully professional already, we might be taking on Dinamo Zagreb in the next qualifying round. But we'll worry about next rounds if we get there. You want to see the transfer business that we've been doing over the pre-season. Unfortunately, not all of the players that we've signed are going to be eligible for this evening's game. Some of them arrived after we'd played Cosmos in the first qualifying round, and we could only register 1 additional player for the second round, so a few are going to miss out. But let's go from back to front and show you what we've bought in. Warning, I don't think any of them can quite match the Salford Messi, but a couple might get close, and let me know down in the comments which player you think has been our best signing or which player you think might be the most important for us this season. The one additional player that I was allowed to register for the second round, I decided would be our new goalkeeper. We've already got a couple of goalkeepers, and Liam O'Brien played during the first qualifying round. The coaches rate him as a 1-star keeper, so I think this is going to be an upgrade. This is Eddie, take me to the beach, a Welsh under-21 international no less, who Chelsea let go, but he came through at Southampton. He's got very good agility and jumping reach and is 6'5", so should fill the goal, I would hope. We've also bought in a new left-back who is registered for European competition, but unfortunately Logan Pye is injured for this evening's game. He's going to be out for between 12 days and a month. I think he is a reasonable upgrade again on our existing left-back, O'Reilly, but got no qualms about bringing O'Reilly in for this evening's games. We've also made some big upgrades in the centre of defence, I think. Remember, we lost our Maltese international who was worried about not getting a work permit, so he left at the end of the season, and he really was our defensive rock. In his place, we first brought in Andy Spain on loan from Waterford, but since then, I think we've brought in some other pretty good quality defenders. One that's not registered for this evening, unfortunately, is going to be Remy Savage. Not the best in the air and only 5'10", but can cover at left back. and he's going to be very quick in defence, which I quite like the idea of as we continue to play this 4-2-3-1 that got us through those European qualification spot games at the end of last season. But perhaps the best and maybe even most surprising central defender that we've brought in is Zane Monlouis. Strength is a little down and the anticipation could be better, but the tackling is 15, and look at the passing. We've got a ball-playing defender on our hands in the Welsh top flight. So hopefully he's going to be a good defensive player for us. He's had a bit of an injury during pre-season, but he's going to be playing tonight. And then at right back, we have another centre-back, really. I was outbid on a really good right back from, guess who? Total Network Solutions. So instead, I've bought a more defensive option in. This really was the best I could do. I originally bought Patrick Gamble in to play centre-half, but I think he's going to be a right back instead, and he's going to be an inverted fullback. He's good in the air, probably our best central defender in the air. The tackling's not quite so good as some of his counterparts, but I still think he is going to be pretty useful, old Patrick Gamble. In midfield, we're going to have a player that we couldn't register for this evening's tie, and that is Michael Golding, only 19 years old, and I bought him in purely because of his passing. I ideally see him not actually playing as a central midfielder, although that is his preferred part of the pitch. I think I'm going to play him as the number 10 so that Mather can go out and play wide. But this afternoon, we're going to be playing Marsh Hughes, who has now been with us for the best part of a year, and alongside him, Tom Holland. Now, we've paid money for this player, and I signed Tom very early on in pre-season. The old spidey senses started tingling when Tom Holland became interested in joining. Then we've paid about £1,000 to bring him in from Bala, and he is just a relatively solid citizen, very determined, fit, good stamina, the work rate teamwork are there. I'd like the tackling to be a little stronger, but beggars certainly can't beat choosers. Now, let's move into the attacking areas of the pitch. Let's get one signing out of the way very early on. You might even have spotted during the intro that we have managed to bring Bobby Mack into the club. We're going to have to do some work on our backroom staff because they think he's only a 1.5-star player. They don't know the magistry that we have on our hands here. Old Bobby, believe it or not, was released by Moyola Park. So what's going on at that club now? I have no idea. And somehow he only managed to find the back of the net 7 times in 30 games last season. They must have been playing the great man out of position. It does at least bring an end to the rumours that Bobby Mack and Kian Kinsella are the same person. It turns out they're not. I've now seen them in the same room as one another. Bobby Mack is going to be on the bench this afternoon, by the way. Bobby Mack is playing European football now. Who thought that would ever happen when we first took over at Moyola? In our midfield, we've also strengthened with a new winger because Justin Hawkins walked out on us, of course. So this is the diamond in the rough, Diamond Edwards, who has gaps. I know the strength is only 4, the passing is only 5, but he's quick. And I've brought him in pretty much to be quick. He's going to run up and down that right flank and try and deliver into the box. And with crossing of 11 and dribbling of 12 and agility of 15, coupled with that pace and acceleration, I'm hoping Diamond will be able to pick up where Justin left off last season. And then up front, well, this afternoon, we're going to be playing Udoyan Akpan, who has signed a new contract. He's going to be our backup striker. Taylor Crossdale would not commit to a new contract, even in the final month of his existing deal. And thank you very much to everybody in one of the previous videos that advised me if you just wait for the final month, they might be willing to reconsider. Taylor Crossdale was not. He's actually going to go and play league football somewhere in England. So in his place, I've signed a player who I'm quite excited about. This is Oakley Cannonier, a 21-year-old player from Leeds who was with Liverpool as a youngster. And again, I've been blinded by the quickness. 14 pace, 14 acceleration, 13 agility, but the finishing and first touch and off-the-ball movement and composure are all better than I think you might expect a Welsh League player to have. I know the teamwork and the work rate and passing, they're not great, but we're only going to ask him to be a poacher up front and just try and get on the end of chances and tuck them away. Unfortunately, even though he's registered for European competition, he's got a little bit of a knock and he's not going to return until tomorrow. But we might see him for the second leg. So let me know down in the comments, which of these new signings would you be most excited about having at your club? Which one do you think might be most important to us? Leave your comments now, pause the video, no having a look at the two games and then making your mind up, because I've got a fear that we might get smashed in these two games. Just before we get out there for this evening's tie, call me bitter if you will, but I wanted to show you Total Network Solutions signings as well, because two of them were on trial at us when they signed for TNS. One of them we dearly wanted. This was James Sweet. He would have been a really good attacking right back. And instead of Golding at number 10 in pre-season, we'd been playing Keanu Dyer. He chose to go to TNS instead. I don't know whether we might have actually signed a better player than Dyer in Golding. So maybe that one wasn't so bad. But in other news, they've lost a couple of players as well. If we have a look at the players that left them at the end of the season, Matty Longstaff has gone and he signed for Portsmouth instead. Now, I can only assume that TNS wanted to keep him, but he refused to sign a new deal. So it's good to see that they are having some of the same problems that we are having, with players playing a season or two in Wales and then thinking they might move on to better things. So at least it happens to them as well as us. But there's what TNS have been up to. Now let's concentrate on this game that we've got against our Kazakh opponents. I am interested to see how we get on tonight, because we've got a little bit of attacking talent in the side. It would be nice if maybe one of our attacking players could come to the fore. I certainly think we're stronger than when we were playing in European competition a year ago. But this is going to be a tough tie because they are a fully professional side and they will have players that are paid as much as our entire squad is paid. In fact, they have a Brazilian on their books who's paid £9,000 a week. So I'm expecting them to be good. Here is Marsh Hughes to Patrick Gamble and Monlouis, the ball-playing defender. Who thought we'd be utilising one of those at Haverford-Quest? Spain is going to be alongside him tonight at centre-back. Playing some quite patient football here. There's Tom Holland just shooting out the rays back to Spain. This is a very long and very considered highlight. Here's Kian Kinsella to the Salford Messi, pulling the strings. Here's Diamond Edwards. We're in, you know, we've scored 16 minutes in. We're playing at Llanelli's Stadium. I might have butchered the pronunciation of that. It's about a 15,000 capacity stadium. Maybe it's the rugby stadium in the town. We'd like to get into half-time 1-0 up if we could. And it's only the woodwork that saves us from an equaliser. In fact, we still might not be spared yet, because here's Bektai raiding down the left-hand flank. Again, a ball has gone into the box. And Take Me to the Beach has shown a little bit of assurance there. He's playing a 7.4. It was a good idea to register the goalkeeper as that one additional player that we could bring into the squad. We find ourselves 1-0 up at the break, despite the fact that is our sole shot on target. If we could have a second period anywhere near as good as that first, I would be very happy. Akpan is on the ball, and this is only, 50 seconds since the restart. Monlouis plays it to Patrick Gamble, and now we've got Diamond Edmonds. What's he got up his sleeve? I keep calling him Edmonds as if he's Noel rather than Edwards, which is his name. He'll have to forgive me, but Akpan, who's only in the starting 11 tonight because of that injury to Cannoneer, has got himself on the score sheet. Gamble feeds Marsh Hughes into Akpan. It's the Salford Messi, of course it is, that plays a delicious little 1-2 with Akpan, and he has fired it past Pavlov in goal. His dogs will not be pleased, and we're going again. Mather to Marsh Hughes. We're 3-0 up at home against a professional Kazakh side here. They are from Kazakhstan and they are professional. They're not professional Kazakhs. They don't tour Europe giving demonstrations in Kazakh culture. You will understand Marsh Hughes, the skipper this evening, puts us 3-0 into the lead. And you know what that means. On 60 minutes, we can just check whether we have any tired players and maybe unleash the Mac. Okay, we are putting the time wasting on. Each time we're making one of these substitutions, we are disrupting the team and potentially weakening it a little. Hopefully, that injury to Diamond is just a short-term one and he'll be back for the second leg. But I think this is a superb first leg performance. No goal for Bobby Mack, but the Salford Messi gets 2 assists. Marsh Hughes, Akpan and Diamond are all on the score sheet. Not sure we deserved that win. Certainly I don't think it should have been 3-0, but we will take it. It's only been 7 days since the first leg. You'd think not too much could have happened, but it's all been kicking off. We've beat Torquay in a friendly. We've also remembered that there was another player that we signed that I neglected to show you earlier on. This is Harry Brook, who's going to be a central midfielder for us. And with teamwork and work rate of 14 and 15, I think they could be a busy little presence in the centre of the midfield. And he's the only player that's not been and knocked on the office door this week, complaining about being left out of the European squad, despite the fact that the players who've been knocking on the door were signed after we originally registered our European squad, and I could only add one more, and I went for the goalkeeper. The main protagonist is Michael Golding, who's very unhappy about being left out. The rest of the squad have come and complained as well. We've even had 2 transfer offers for him, one from AFC Wimbledon and another league club from England. He's only been at the club about, 3 weeks? So he has started to complain, and perhaps even more concerning is the fact that Sam Mather has also come and knocked on the door, despite the fact he's been here less than 6 months, to say he's starting to think he should be playing with better players and wants to know what we're going to do about it. So he certainly looks like a player that we might struggle to get to sign a new contract. He's upset that Golding's been treated unfairly and he wants to move to a club with a stronger squad. I mean, I ask you, how much more strengthening could I have done? So even if we do make it through this tie, which would be great financially, it's still going to pose another problem because I think I will only be able to register another 1 additional player for the 3rd round. And I've got at least 3 that need registering, 2 who've knocked on the office door this week. Do I let Golding bully his way into the squad? Remy Savage was also unhappy. Or do I give it to the midfielder who's not kicked off, but I think is probably the most important player for us to have in that next round of Europe? Maybe I'm getting my head of myself because we've not even qualified for that next round yet. This is going to be a tough second leg despite the 3-0 lead. I feel we might even need to score again on the night in order to get through on aggregate as we sling a very early corner in, and maybe this could be our first chance. Here's Diamond Edwards, Monlouis. It's all very narrow. Spain has a go. He's worked Pavlov. His dogs are back in the dressing room. But I actually think we've been a little stronger in the first half of this leg than we were back in Wales. Ian Kinsella's on a 6.5. Cannoneer is on the same score. I'm really not sure whether I might have signed a bit of a dud there because not even played well in the friendlies. How long do we leave it before we call Akpan? Or do we call Bobby Mack? And, well, if the heart rules the head, we would probably call Bobby Mack instead. We've got a kick-off highlight at the start of the second half. Here is Jorginho, that Brazilian that's on £9,000 a week. Diamond Edwards has managed to rob the ball twice, and still we don't have possession of it. And they've gone over the top to a player who I'm hoping is offside because they've got a goal back and no flag is coming. And it is the Brazilian, it is Jorginho. I thought he must be good, being paid £9,000 a week. And he has got Ordaba back into this tie, and it's only within 36 seconds of the restart. All right, Akpan has come on. He's going to be playing on the wing. We've also tweaked Cannoneer's role to see whether we can improve his performance. Maybe a lone poacher is not a role that works well to being the sole striker. So we've got him on a deep line forward on attack. Hopefully, it will help stiffen our midfield a little bit if he comes back and helps out, because our opponents really are pressing for a second goal. That one struck a post and gone behind. We've not done a lot since half-time ourselves. They've still only had 2 shots on target. We're going to throw on a little bit of time wasting. Beach has got a goal kick. He sent it to Monlouis. Can we have a little spell of possession here? Maybe even threaten ourselves as Bobby Mack is just probing, doing all of the chasing and the harrying up there as only Bobby Mack can do. And we've emerged with the ball once more. Gamble puts pay to that and gives it away. Here's Jorginho. Gamble is struggling to get back. There's a player in his way. And this could be 3-2. And it is. And we're starting to really panic now. I thought that the first leg had gone too well. This Jorginho really is a player. Was he even on the pitch in the first leg? I didn't notice him. I certainly have tonight. It's kissed the post on its way in. And we have now got to think about how we can see out this next 5 minutes. Okay, I'm hoping this is going to make us more solid. If they score an equaliser, I don't know what we're going to do for extra time because we've got nothing on the bench that we can bring on. Let's click on the instructions. All time wasting is already there. We'll drop the tempo a little as well. We've got, 2 more minutes to see out. This would be a glorious victory. Even though on the night, I think we got a little lucky over the 2 legs. We were probably fortunate. We've lost 2-0 out in Kazakhstan, but won the tie 3-2 on aggregate. And that is going to set up potentially a mouth-watering tie in the next round. But not, as it turns out, against the opposition that I was forecasting. We're going to be up against Portuguese opponents because they've actually just lost to Dinamo in the Europa League proper. They very nearly beat them. They won 2-0 in the first leg, but they lost 3-0 in the return. And so it's Dynamo Zagreb that make progress in the Europa League. And now our Portuguese opponents drop down into the Conference League. And so that is who we are going to be playing in the next round. Coupled with that, we've got Cardiff Met University in the opening weekend of the Welsh Premier season. So what I think is that we'll come back for that second leg, which we may not be in by the time we get to that second leg and the opening game of the season. And we can see whether we can have a miracle run in Europe and get a positive start to our Welsh campaign as we try our best to cling to the coattails of TNS this season.